Hey guys, Aussie Firebug here, and I am so excited to be chatting to Pat the Shuffler today. I don't know if anyone else has seen the ABC opinion piece that he wrote about a week and a half ago now, but it's hit the mainstream media. He was also on Sunrise, and I just had to chat to him to hear about everything that's happened in his life since the story went live, and all the stuff and all the messages that he's got off people, be it good or bad. So this was just a bit of an improv podcast that we set up yesterday actually, and I'm publishing this super quick because I just want to get this out there. So hope you guys enjoy. Paddy, welcome back, mate. It's the second time chatting with you after the first podcast. Now you're on. I've invited you back on because of the ABC opinion piece that's come out like the other week or something like that. If anyone that doesn't know about it, anyone in the fire community in Australia should know about it because it's the first bit of mainstream media that I've seen about financial independence, retire early. I'll put it in the show notes anyway. But let's just begin. How did that come about?
Yeah, so probably about late October, someone from the ABC just contacted me out of the blue. He emailed me, found my email address on my website, and he just asked me straight out, like he was really interested, and do I want to write an opinion piece? And so, like, I initially agreed, and the discussions we had right at the beginning were I'd be able to publish under my pseudonym or the very least under an alias. So probably like about 3 months worth of editing and revisions, and, you know, being the ABC, there's plenty of checks the articles have to go through. So yeah, it took quite a long process until it was completely finalized. And then, yeah, the article went to this journalist's sort of editor or chief editor, and she basically came back to him and said, well, no, we can't publish this unless you do it under your real name. And at that point, yeah, I was obviously a bit, taken aback because I already put so much work into it. And here I was like, well, now I have to kind of publish it, not under the sort of agreement that I thought we were under. So like I said, I don't think there was anything malicious on the part of this journalist. He really thought it would be okay to publish it like sort of under my alias, my pseudonym, which is Pat the Shuffler. But I mulled over it for like another 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Like, obviously it has huge sort of privacy implications for myself. But yeah, I talked about it with my girlfriend Steph, and she kind of like gave me that last little push along that I needed. She was like, Pat, you'll bloody regret this if you don't take this opportunity. And so I finally went with it. And yeah, funny little thing. It was going to be published a week earlier than it ended up being published. But on that morning, all the stock markets took like a 5% dive or something, or whatever it was. And the ABC decided not to publish it that day for that reason, which I thought was pretty funny because I didn't care about a small little dive, but apparently, that was reason enough to just push it back a bit.
Wow.
And then, yeah, right.
I was going to say, I remember that day. Well, I was down $8,000, which, we understand that it doesn't really matter, but you never want to, wake up and log in and be like, sweetie, we, pass the peas, please. And we also lost $8,000 on the stock market.
Yeah, that's right.
But we get it. But yes, it's just, it's a funny timing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, yeah, of course it was, kind of by surprise the morning that it was released. I just woke up to like, about half a dozen to a dozen notifications on my phone. I'm like, oh, what the hell is going on? And then, yeah, I kind of found out, oh, it's been published. So yeah, wow. That's how it came about.
Congratulations, first of all, to be published by like a major mainstream, news outlet. So congrats straight up, repping the, fire community, out there. Yeah. Awesome work. Now I've got some questions. Like I know, because I'm really excited as well to dig in with you what the response has been from the general public and like, the messages that you're getting and everything. I'm really excited to get into that. But I got some questions that I know are on a lot of people's minds, both public and more on the fire community. So I'm just going to just say a few questions. Was there any payment involved with this ABC piece? Did they pay you to write it, or did you pay the ABC in any way to have that opinion piece published?
No, no money changed hands whatsoever. It was purely like a trade of, my article, and I just gave them my article, and in return I got a bit of publicity, and that's all it was.
Yeah. And so did you speak to the ABC person? Like, was there something that brought up that opinion piece, or like was there a story that they read, or like how come they reached out to you, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Did they say why or how they come across your blog or anything like that?
No, I've no idea how or why or through what channel that this guy came across my blog, and I have no idea how he decided to choose my blog. Perhaps he's a part of the fire community himself. I have no idea.
Hopefully, because it seems to be, I don't know what it is, but there was a call out for like people in the community, and I applied myself, and I know a few others. There was like if you're into financial independence, retire early, we want to hear from you. It was Fairfax Media, and it was only like 2 weeks ago that this happened. So I don't know, there must be a wave in the finance circles or something. Like the presence of financial independence, retire early must be making some sort of waves, because it seems to be, I think there's going to be more stories about, us in the community, moving forward. But this is the first one. This is the groundbreaking one, that landed on the ABC. I was stoked. I woke up and I seen it on my Facebook, newsfeed, and I actually thought, cause I got, I was speaking with someone from Fairfax that was gathering information about this whole community and everything. I'm not sure if they spoke to you as well, but basically I was like, oh wow, like I wonder if this is the story, or and then it was you, and I was like, oh my god, Pat's been, he's written his own piece, that's awesome, and so I think there's more to come, and I wonder if it's been, just the community growing, because we're it's definitely growing, I believe. Like, I remember when I first started the blog, I was pretty much I couldn't remember another one that was doing specifically financial independence, retire early, when I very, very first started. And then there was more, and yourself come on board, and then heaps of other bloggers come on board, and now it's a thriving community. So perhaps it's making waves. That's what I'm thinking. But I don't know, time will tell. Back to the opinion piece. So, no money traded by either party. That's great. I know that will answer a lot of people's questions. And you also, so cool, were on Sunrise as well. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that? It wasn't very long, and I was spewing that they didn't keep you on, for a long time. But like, just run me through how that went and how that was as an experience.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Actually, I'm not sure if anyone or even you've seen it, but before I was on Sunrise, maybe 2 days before, I was actually on ABC News Breakfast as well.
No, I haven't seen that. You need to send. Do you have the link?
Well, I've asked the person who kind of organized it for me to send me a copy of the video or send me a link, but I just haven't got it yet. So I'm just waiting to get that one up onto my social media channels.
Absolutely. This is fire archive material that will be kept for millennia, Pat. The first time it broke into mainstream.
That's right.
So you need to track that down. I'd love to watch that. So how was that anyway? And then Sunrise after that, a few days.
Well, yeah, exactly. So that first one, you can kind of see I'm a bit more nervous. I'm, kind of like just answering the questions, not elaborating as much. But it was really fun. But I found it, a bit odd, because it was one of those ABC News Breakfast is filmed in Melbourne, but I'm in Sydney. So they just kind of stuck me in a room in front of a TV with the Harper Bridge on the background. And I just had to stare down a camera and just kind of answer answer these questions, which were just being fed to me through an earpiece.
I was going to ask that. So it's a little, because you always see it. It's a little earpiece and you're always like, so you're trying to like smile at the camera. You don't know who you're talking to. Oh man, that's so funny.
You don't know who else is in the room. So before, they told me who I'd be talking to, but I didn't know if she would be the only one in the room or not. So I kind of said hello to her, but I didn't know if I had to say hello to someone else.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
It's a bit funny. It's a bit weird.
And what about Sunrise though? That's a full on, production, isn't it? Like you go in there. Yeah. Do you get like makeup done and everything? Is it a full on thing or what?
Yeah. So they got me in there. They put some makeup on me. It's probably only about 30 seconds to a minute worth of makeup time.
Right. Yeah. Hey, you still got it done.
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually really odd because right before me on this Sunrise piece, there was some other bloke talking about being bit by a lion.
Oh wow.
I know, right?
It's a hard act to follow.
Yeah, precisely. But even funnier is I was actually there sitting on the couch with the presenters while they were speaking to the lion guy, I'll call him. But I was just off camera. So I was actually sitting there in the studio for a good 3, 4 or 5 minutes before actually anyone on the screen sees me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know why they do it like that, but
Wow. What an experience though. That's pretty cool, huh? You're on Sunrise.
It was really cool. And sort of once in a lifetime for me anyway. So I'm really glad I went through with it.
And you know what? This segues nicely into my next question. So, you've got the blog and you've got your first name that's your real name, but not your last name, I don't think, on the blog. Now, you got photos of yourself, and I think, have you ever dropped your full name in a post or anything on Facebook? Because I swear I did see it before this article come out. You weren't super closed about your identity online, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. I kind of used the pseudonym on my blog, but then if you went to my Facebook page, you'd see this random Pat Sajrak just liking everything on it. It's hard to connect the dots if anyone really wanted to.
They sort of look the same. They got the same first name. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So my question is, so you weren't super, to begin with, you weren't super, you wanted your identity to be hidden. So I know a lot of people, now this is more to do with the FIRE community, the Australian finance community. Yeah. What was the main reason to come out open? I know, so you had the ultimatum, you written the article and they said you need to have your full name, which is a bit annoying, I guess, from your point of view as well. I'm I don't know, I guess I'm thinking from a publisher's point of view, they don't want a made up person, writing the content. Is that that's what I'm thinking? They want an actual person. But anyway, the question is, why come out in the first place? Walk me through your thinkings to put your name out there, especially when you got so long to go in FIRE community terms, 5 or so years. That's a lifetime for us, until you reach FIRE.
Yeah. So, like I was saying before, I, got after the 3 months of doing all this editing and this kind of back and forth with the journalist. And I was given this ultimatum basically, either, you publish with your name or, I apologize, but we'll just, if you can't do that, we'll have to leave it at that. And, thanks for all your time. He said, and I'm sorry it's come to this, but yeah. And, like I said, I mulled over it for 2 weeks. So this was sometime in January or early February or something. I'm just this is a bit unfair, but what am I going to do about it? And yeah, basically, yeah, what it really came down to at the end of it was I have this opportunity. This is, probably going to be the last opportunity I'll have. I don't, put my humble cap on and just be probably the last opportunity I'll have to publish something in mainstream media. The journalist also warned me that a lot of other media outlets will probably want to speak to you after this goes live, which I took with a grain of salt when he first told me, to be honest. I was just like, yeah, sure, sure thing, man. Like, I'll publish this and it won't get that much traction, but he was absolutely correct.
Sunrise the next week. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought this would be my last opportunity. And so I just went with it, just took the plunge, and I just didn't worry too much about the privacy issues. And my girlfriend really did give me a push along. She was like, oh, you're overthinking it, Pat. Like, it's not gonna, who cares? Like, you haven't said anything particularly bad in your blog or particularly wrong in your blog. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to hide. And I'm like, she's bloody right. Like, why am I hiding this? And so I just went with it.
Fair enough. You just went for it. Now, I know the number one question on people's minds in the finance community and the fire community since you have published, has anyone from your work read it? And has there been any fallout or any, that's the number one thing. As soon as I read it, I was like, that's awesome that he's done that. But I wonder how that went down with the boss.
Yeah. So to be honest, this was my number one concern before I published it. Like, before I agreed to publish it, I was like, oh, what happens when work finds out about it? But yeah, so the first person at work to kind of come up to me like, hey, was that you? Was just like this graduate downstairs.
And then everyone in the grad, shut up. And just like take him into a closet. He never leaves. He's just dead now. Pat's murdered him.
And then like one of my other colleagues like found out, and he was off work that day, but he messaged another one of my colleagues that was at work, and he's like, hey Pat, what's this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've just written this thing for the ABC. It's not, you can read it when you get home. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it definitely did spread. And then, my boss got wind of it. And to be honest, my boss was absolutely supportive. Like, he had a few questions like, oh yeah, so good on you. Like, I, was a bit worried, but to be honest, it was completely unfounded, because he was like interested, and he's like, what are you investing in and how do you do it? And basically just congratulated me on the whole thing. He's like, yeah, good on you. Like, congratulations. So that went by without a hitch, I was extremely relieved when that happened.
Yeah, I will play the devil's advocate just for a second here, because I know it's on people's minds. I've got to ask it. Yeah. Do you think, and I've sort of got an answer already in my head that I think you're going to say anyway, but if a promotion come up at work, now your boss is aware of this, now I'm sure he's supportive, and I reckon majority of people's bosses would be supportive, but you've got to, the realist in me would think if there was an opportunity, like a promotion or something, and you're up against someone else in the back, and he probably will never admit it, but in the back of the boss's mind, he's got it, well, Pat's not going to be sticking around for much longer. I'm not going to invest time and energy into developing him. We're going to go with someone else. Do you think that might happen? And do you actually really care? Because I don't think you're in the workforce for much longer anyway. So what would be your response to those people thinking that?
Okay, yeah. So to be honest, I really don't think it's that much of a problem. Most of the people around my age now change jobs every couple of years anyway. So to say that I'm going to miss out on a promotion, or if my boss were so malicious to be like, or even subconsciously not want to give me that promotion, it doesn't really make sense considering how quickly people move around these days. And there's also the opposite factor as well, which, has been brought up in the fire community time and time again, which is when your boss knows you can leave at any time, perhaps they're even more willing to, try and keep you, or try and keep, if you're a hard worker and you're talented or whatnot, put in that extra effort to entice you to stay. So we'll see how it goes, but personally, I don't feel like it's going to be a problem for me at all.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'd be real curious, maybe we can have another chat in a year's time and see if anything has manifested during that time, and or if it's all hunky-dory and there was, people are just overcautious and there's nothing really to worry about.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And if I could, I'd probably segue a bit because you didn't directly ask this, but another interesting thing happened at work, which was the kind of general manager of my group also came to me and started to have a quick chat with me because he saw the article online. And very interestingly enough, he said that he basically did the whole financially independent thing when he was my age as well.
Wow. What's his name? I'll get him on the podcast.
Yeah, very interesting. And we had quite a bit of a chat, and he echoed the same sort of sentiments, like, oh, good on you. It's a really good thing to do. But he also said, he actually came back to work, and because he wanted to be more philanthropic or altruistic, what do you want to call it, so he could just donate more money with his wife, and that's what he does now. So he comes into work and he's financially independent for all intents and purposes, but he just likes to be really generous with his money. So that's why he's back at work.
Well, there you go. Opening doors. Things that happen when you put yourself out there, who knows?
Right.
This is someone that, someone liked your story, had done it in the past, and maybe you got another job offer, or maybe, they're taking a liking to you, you made a new friend. Like there's countless sort of positives, I think, that can come from coming out. I can also understand some negative connotations as well, which we'll get into, but I think, why not? Like, if the opportunity's there, you should go for it, and like, if you're comfortable with it and your boss is cool, it sounds like it's worked out. Nothing like a huge fallout that some people are writing about, like that. Why would you tell people? People are going to hate you. They're going to be so jealous. You're going to lose all your friends. Your boss is going to fire you instantly. It's like, whoa, like, really? I don't think all that's going to happen. Like, but so that's what I wanted to get into. My next question is basically, what's it been like as a whole in your personal life and your friends and family and at your work? So you've already been into work a little bit. And what's the response been like online, both good and bad? You just want to walk us through a bit about that?
Yeah, so from my sort of personal friendships, family, I think everyone can imagine that I've gotten like just high fives all around. Everyone's been really interested and really supportive and really congratulatory, and just been really awesome. And obviously, rang up, told my parents, I'm going to be on Sunrise tomorrow. So they saw that, and they're obviously pretty proud and whatnot. So yeah, personal life, just all round positive. Everyone's pretty happy about the whole thing. Now,
what about online? Tell me about the online comments.
Online, jeez, like.
I'm interested. The PMs, the personal messages. Come on, spill the beans. What's been happening? I've already seen the threads that have been made.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to be honest, personal messages for the most part have been positive.
Awesome. I did think that. Like, that's nice to hear though from you. Yeah.
So people just, sending me emails or private messaging me on Facebook and whatnot, and just being like, yeah, hey man, this is awesome. This is really inspiring, et cetera, et cetera. And other people who are like, yeah, man, I've already done this. Don't listen to all that shit online. This is absolutely possible. It's just screw all of them, because, you know what you're doing, and it's not impossible, at all. It's actually, quite simple, quite just a few years of hard work, hard saving, and you can get there. So that's been really great. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But
good,
yeah.
Good to hear. so you've obviously been reading as well, like, oh god, the Facebook comments were of a good laugh, weren't they? Like going through those was just like a gold mine.
Oh man.
The thing that gets me though, like I was like, so Facebook, I get it, you know, like it's Facebook, but the backlash that you got on some of the finance forums that I regularly visit, Oz Finance, Australia, like I couldn't, some of the, I don't know what it is, but like so many people were so quick to chop you down when like FI Australia has definitely been the best one, like to like actually, you know, awesome man, like, you know, how are you doing it? I want to learn more, sort of like, you know, let's work together to achieve a goal here. But my God, some of like the other forums, it's literally just picking you apart. And I don't get it half the time, because this is meant to be a place where like literally the math that you were talking about here is solid. It's not like this is some fantasy dream that some dude has and it's unrealistic. Like, people do this. More people do this than people realize. And it's, at the end of the day, all about maths. Does the maths work? And the maths does work. It's been proven over and over again in different countries, different jobs, different markets, different generations. It can be done. So for someone, like for all these people, and what kills me is how many upvotes some of these comments get on Reddit. Like the tall poppy syndrome, and like, where's the community rallying together to spur on one of our fellow firemen, if you want to call it. Like, I don't know, does that like disappoint you at all, or?
Well, I mean, I totally expected like a huge negative backlash as I was going into this. Like, mentally prepared myself. This is going to happen. I just have to accept it, be ready for it. Otherwise, I shouldn't publish this. So disappointed isn't so much the word, particularly with like, you know, Oz Finance and, you know, Reddit Australia. Like, those places are just like cesspools, echo chambers of negativity. Like,
it used to be better. That's the thing. I reckon, it used to really be, some finance nerds. And I think like I was looking at the sub of Oz Finance particularly today, and, you know, it's climbed to over 20,000. I have a feeling that, the Australian subreddit is like leaking too much into the finance Reddit, and there's way too many of those people upvoting just shit and just negative stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, I'm reading, like, why would you do that? That would be career suicide. You know, like so many comments that, and like, what about, I don't know if you've seen the comments, they're making personal attacks about you. You know, here, this guy's a moocher. I heard from a friend of a friend. Like, it's got 90 upvotes. I'm looking at this comment that's talking about you, and like so many people are upvoting this, and there's zero evidence to back up what he's saying. It almost, like, I don't want to, I find myself going there less and less, when this shit's getting like to the top of the comments.
And I saw that comment, and that's probably the only thing that's really surprised me out of this whole thing. It's like just blatant lies. And I didn't expect, like, I expected the negativity, and I expected the sort of confusion and the assumptions and all of that sort of crap. But like, oh man, like people just blatantly lying, and then for, you know, just, I don't know why, like people are just sadistic or something. So they can get upvotes.
It's the upvoting that gets me. It's like, why is this the third most? No, it's like the second most upvoted comment. You know, when like literally a 12-year-old could have wrote it, and there's zero evidence to back it up, and we're in a finance forum, and it's the second most upvoted comment. Like, what's all that about? You know, isn't like constructive criticism is one thing, but. It's like crazy what it's turned into, but, you know, it is what it is, eh?
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there, buddy, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. And oh my God, we cannot finish this talk. Holy shit. Can you please talk about the response opinion piece by Jeff Collins? Because, my God, was that a piece of work? Which I'm going to link to. Oh, actually, I don't even know if I want to link to it. Like, it shouldn't even be read. Maybe the audience, people listening, don't know what it is. Can you just explain what happened with this guy? It's glorious, but I'll let you explain it.
So, a few days after I posted my article on the ABC, a response piece was written by, I think he's a social worker or a social employee. He works with disadvantaged people in the Northern Territory, I believe.
Yeah.
And he basically went on to describe why pursuing financial independence makes you morally bankrupt.
So the title is "Retiring at 35 might be good for you, but it's bad for the rest of us."
Yeah, exactly.
And if you it's so some of the stuff he's written in there. Like, what did you think when you read that? Like, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, how half of this doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm halfway through writing a response myself to that article.
On the ABC?
No, not on the ABC.
I was going to say there should be
just on my blog.
Okay.
Getting into an ABC skirmish, eh?
Oh, yeah. I'd read it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure all of us would. But he's just wrong on so many levels, and I don't know if I could just talk about it here or whether I should just wait till I post my article. But yeah, he's basically kind of what I felt from it was a bit too communist for my liking. I'm not sure if you got that feeling as well.
Totally.
And literally the first thing I thought was, so this guy is basically treating me like a fattened cow, and he wants his milk. Like,
the whole thing just didn't make sense. Like, it's like, I don't even know, and I'm sure like you're picking it apart in the article that you're going to write, but like, you know, for anyone that hasn't read it, he's basically this dude. What's his name? Jeff. Old Jeffy. Jeffy's having a go at Pat for trying to. He's like, the crux of his argument is basically that you've lived an entitled life in Australia, which I would agree. Like, I think anyone born in Australia is not entitled. We're privileged. We're privileged to be born in this great country. Awesome. Agree with that. And he's saying that by retiring early, somehow you're not contributing back to the system. You took more from the system than you're contributing because you're not going to be earning a lot of money and not paying a lot of tax. That's the crux of his argument. Like, does he not? So he comes, one of the things is, you know, you're basically paying no tax on the, you know, your $40,000 a year that you're going to be earning. How is that any different to someone earning $40,000 a year normally? Yeah. How is that any different?
It isn't.
It's not different. And then he goes on to say about his modest incomes mean he's eligible for part pension, $4,500 a year. I don't know if that's even true. Can you get a pension if you've got $1 million+ in assets?
No, you cannot. He's completely like incorrect there.
Incorrect. So like, I feel like I was trying to get him on Twitter because I was going to like tweet to him. I don't know if he's on there or something, but I'm like, if you look at how much, you know how you get when you pay, you know, your what is it, your tax return, you get like the little pie chart of like, or you get a spending breakdown of where all your money went. You know, like you paid so much in tax, you paid your $20,000 in tax, whatever, and it went to here, it went to here. Have a look at how much the retirement, the pension costs the Australian taxpayer. Guess what? People that get financially independent, they don't have to rely on a pension. That's so right. If everyone was financially independent, you can take that whole chunk out. I should have Googled it before I spoke about it. We're talking billions of dollars here. Like, it is an enormous amount of money. None of that is mentioned in his response about how much you'll be saving personally to the taxpayer by not relying on a pension. But like,
correct. Well, he thinks I'm getting a pension. Like, he's just fundamentally wrong about it.
Like, makes you like. Does the ABC not like, I don't know how publishing works, but there's so many things wrong with this article, like factually wrong. Like, we're not talking about an opinion here. We're actually just talking numbers and like laws that he's got wrong. How can this go out? Like, if you didn't know any better and you just read this as a normal person, you might think that like what Jeff's saying is right. Like, and you're taking us for a bit of a ride, but it's not. I feel it's like, I don't know, shouldn't have got past the editing room, but whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you saw how quickly it came out after I published mine. Clearly it was rushed out, wasn't it? Like,
well, it came out, like a couple days after?
Yeah, exactly. Which is, compared to how long it took me to write mine and get mine through the gates, is extraordinary. Like,
yeah, but you actually put thought and effort into yours. This looks like it's been slapped together over a few coffees and a Red Bull.
Yeah, by a guy that doesn't understand that the pension is asset tested as well as income tested. So,
do you know the irony of this guy? Like, I'm looking at this photo, and I don't know if you've seen like the photo, but he's got a "be happy" like thing slapped across his forehead. In the photo response to you. I find that ironic, like, be happy. That's exactly what you're trying to be. You're trying to be happy, financially independent, live a stress-free life, and he's having a go at you. Like, it's, it was a cracker. I will link it just for the lulz, like, so people can read about it, but it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. Do link it, because people can see how outrageously, like, moronic his arguments are, and then perhaps they can come to my website and see my response to all of it.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm still trying to decide what sort of angle I should take it. Should I be classy, or should I just go there and rip into him? Or
I think I would take the high ground if I was you, because then you don't, like, it's always better to take the high ground. When they go low, you go high. So who said that? Hillary Clinton or someone said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, last question. This was another one by a lot of readers and stuff like that. A lot of questions about a family. So have you thought about a family? What happens when you start a family? This is all good until you have your first baby. How do you respond to these?
Yeah, so the first way I'd like to respond to that is just like, so I've got this goal for $1 million to get myself a $40,000 income, which is my goal. People have just automatically assumed that my girlfriend at the time, like at the moment, like Steph, is included in that, which, she's independent herself, she's working, she's saving, she's investing. Nowhere in that article or on my blog do I claim that this is the $1 million which I'm going to save and then I'm going to support my girlfriend with. Like, I don't know why people have assumed that, but so if we wanted to speak about both our numbers combined, it's more than $1 million. It's probably 1.25 to 1.5. We're still trying to, work it out and kind of see where we're going with that, because, have to think carefully about that sort of thing, don't you?
For sure.
So looking at more like a $50,000 to $60,000 per year income for the pair of us in a family. But yeah, I do plan, or I am interested in having kids, like not anytime soon, but in the sort of medium to long term. And be quite honest, I don't see what the problem is on a 50 to 60K salary, especially when you can go to many parts of Australia, just buy a house outright for like 400, 450K. That would still leave Steph and I with just a touch under $1 million and $40,000 in income, into perpetuity. So I think the main reason, like, it's just shocked a lot of people is because their personal budgets are just so much higher than $40,000 per year. They can't even imagine a life where you could spend $40K a year and be comfortable, which, you know, to you and me, we know that that's more than possible. It's, you know, you can live very comfortably on that sort of money.
That's living. If you don't have to pay rent or mortgage, that's living.
Well, yeah, exactly. But so with all these people who are probably spending, you know, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100K per year, this just sounds like absolute insanity. But all I can respond is just, you know, you need to know where you're spending your money, making sure it's going to the right places, and, you know, you'll see that it's more than possible. And also, there's I just want to remember the acronym. It's NATSEM, which is, I think it's like National Center for Economic Modeling. And they publish a report that's called the Cost of Kids Report. I've linked it on my website before. And the Cost of Kids Report just breaks down how much it costs to raise kids from, you know, 0 years old up until 18, based on family income and based on a whole bunch of other factors as well. And you can see, like, very clearly from that report that cost of kids basically is completely dependent on the parents' income. So basically what parents do is, as they earn extra money, they just start spending a lot more on their children, which is, you know, I think should be fairly obvious to anyone. That's generally how parents feel and what they want to, you know, do as much as they can for their children. So, but then you see, like, the other end of the scale, like modest families or lower income families, you know, they spend practically $0 on their children because they get all this money back from the government. So if you're sitting somewhere in the middle there, you can either spend, you know, essentially $0, or you can, you know, spend, you know, $100,000 or $200,000 on your children from 0 to 18. And there's a vast, like, array in between there, between 0 and 200K, which you can sit in. And if you're going to sit here and kind of pretend like, oh, you know, you're depriving your children, then it's like, well, what are all those low-income families doing? Are you suggesting that they're depriving their children? Well, I don't think they are. Their children are probably well-fed. Like, in general, they have educations. They, you know, give them lots of love. And just on a sort of personal note, I think this kind of infatuation people have with spending money on their children and equating that with taking care of your children well is utterly bizarre to me. Like, completely and utterly bizarre, because as far as I'm concerned, the best thing you can do with your child, for your child, is actually spend time with them. And if you're off at work earning 100K a year so that you can buy them, like, all the best things in life and send them to all the best schools, then you're, you know, by definition, you have to spend less time with them yourself and spend less time mentoring them, spend less time, you know, doing sports with them and all that other stuff that is involved with parenting. So I think there's, just a lot of flaws in that sort of thinking and that sort of argument. And if you just look at it from a different perspective, you'll kind of see that, well, you know, actually maybe there is this other way to parent, which is, instead of just trying to earn a lot of money so you can give your kids the best in life, or as people try and, like, always use that sort of phrasing, give them the best in life, maybe you can earn less so you can give them the best of yourself. And that's probably what I would more like to do, instead of just going to work so I can buy them lots of expensive things.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah, I went on a bit of a rant there, but yeah.
Hey, that sounds good to me. And what a lot of people, you know, I don't know if they realize this, but if you're financially independent and you can stay at home, no cost to what's it called? Like
childcare.
Yeah, like childcare. Yeah, is that childcare when you get someone to look after your kid? Isn't that like a shitload of money? I haven't looked into it, but like I thought that was like a crap ton of money. So, you know, you're not paying that. You're spending time with your kids, and like exactly. huge savings on that. So, you know,
exactly.
These things all add up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, for a lot of a lot of people, sometimes it's actually like they cannot go to work and earn enough to afford childcare. It's actually cheaper to stop work and just take care of your children if you're on like a lower sort of income.
Yep.
So childcare is just this enormously expensive thing for parents. So if you can eliminate that, then you're a long way to just not needing that extra cash.
For sure. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, anything else you wanted to say that we haven't covered, like about the whole article and everything like that was interesting or anything like that? Anything unexpected pop up or?
Well, I mean, probably the only thing I'd like to add is the amount of like media follow through with this it's still actually ongoing. Obviously I'm talking to you now, not.
Oh yeah, mainstream media, Aussie Firebug podcast.
Aussie Firebug.
Up there with the ABC and Sunrise.
I was contacted by like another podcaster, which I'm going to get on in the next week.
Oh my God, you're cheating on me.
That's right, I'm cheating on you. Organised by like another like video podcast thing that's I'm going to be on in another week or something. Money Magazine has contacted me and they want me to, do something. I can't quite remember. And yeah, the list goes on. So there's more to come. And yeah, stay tuned.
Awesome, man. Look, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know it's definitely a hot topic in the fire community, this article, and the absolute waves that it's made through the mainstream media, the general public and everything. You've answered a lot of questions I know I myself personally had to ask, and I'm sure that others wanted to ask as well. Thank you so much, Pat.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Wow. What an incredible experience Pat's been through the last week and a half. I'm so thankful that he was able to come on and share his experiences with us. I had so much fun making this podcast, and I hope you guys out there had as much fun listening to it as I had making it. It's always good to chat with Pat just about finance and fire stuff in general, but when something like this happens, I knew I had to get him on the show and get down to the nitty gritty and ask him a few questions. So it was awesome for him to come on, and I'm going to try to get this out there ASAP. If you liked it, make sure you head over to iTunes, just search for me, aussiefirebug.com, drop me a comment, that'd be awesome, and a rating. I'm on SoundCloud and my blog, www.aussiefirebug.com, all that good stuff. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.